We'll get started. It's good to see Ashraf there on the screen. We'll let people in as they come in. The session has been recorded, so anybody that hasn't been able to make it, we'll be able to share this with. And it's a real pleasure, really, to have Ashraf Hanafi join us from Egypt. So thank you, Ashraf, for that. Met Ashraf a couple of times over the last few years. Last time was at the conference in Egypt, and lead the program at Blackball, which was very appreciate you showing us the centre there. I think it's one of the largest centres in Egypt, and quite an impressive centre with one of the major PSA events held there over the time. So just one of the just housekeeping, if you can mute your microphones. Ashraf's going to take us through a few things and probably some questions we'll have time for at the end. And you can either put those in the chat or raise your hand, and we'll bring you on for the questions. But Ashraf, you're former Egyptian coach and worked with some of the greatest players: Amir Shabana, Rami Ashour, Ali Farag, Mohammed El Shabagi, just to name a few. And they're just a few.
Karim Darwish, Marwan Shurbagi, Nur Tayyib, etc.
Yeah,
all of them, they were my player.
The list is so long. So
yeah.
So I'll let you carry on and introduce yourself fully, but thank you very much for coming, and I'm sure everybody's looking forward to listen to what you have to say about how the Egyptians develop their players. So thank you, Ashraf.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I could just add something because I just heard it some days ago. I will be the national coach for the next time, and I will present Egypt for the next World team in Malaysia if the tournament will be played. So I am not the former national coach. I would be now the actual national coach again.
Congratulations. Hopefully the event can go ahead, which will be exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, Ashraf, I'll leave it with you to introduce yourself and carry on from there. Oh, we just got you on mute there, Ashraf.
Yes.
Sorry.
So are you hearing me now? Is it fine now? Is it clear?
Yes. Yes, got you now. Yep.
Perfect. Sorry. Well, my name is Ashraf Hanafi. I played squash for maybe more than 45 years now. I wasn't so successful player as I am a successful coach, but I have some points which I'm really proud of it. I beat your great player, Ross Norman, once in the final of British Open over 35. They chose me player of the month once when I was 37 years old. I was played professional for a long time in Germany, and I was beating a lot of top 10 when I was maybe 36, 37 in the world, 37 years old. So I returned to Egypt in '98, and I started coaching for a lot of juniors in that time. As you mentioned, Jason, Rami Ashour, Ali Farag, Karim Darwish, Mohammed Abbas, Wael Hindi, Mohammed Shurbagi, Marwan Shurbagi. I coached Asal, Nuran Gohar, all of those players. They have been with me for a while, and we spend a very good time together. I was responsible for the Egyptian team for a long time for the juniors, and for men as well. We won the 4 years ago, maybe in France, the world champion, and I was very, very proud to say that maybe first time in history that a team wins a tournament without losing one match. So we went through from the very first match till the end, and we were beating every team 3-love. So I'm working now in the Egyptian TV as a commentator and analyzing matches, and we have been live for a long time. We explain squash, and we try to give easy ideas about squash and to let more people more interesting about squash. I'm working now the squash director in Black Ball, one of the biggest clubs in maybe in the world. We have 19 courts. We have something like 29, 30 coaches. We have something like 300, 400 players. It depends on the time. I am a member of the WSF coaching committee, which we try to find out and produce some new ideas to improve squash all over the world. This is shortly what I could talk about myself.
Thanks, Ashraf. So obviously a late developer, sort of you playing your best squash in your mid to late 30s, which is great to hear for some of us. Some of us it's too late for that, but it's obviously playing for a really good quality and coming back into the game, back to Egypt in the late 90s. It's probably when the squash in Egypt really started making a name for itself, wasn't it, around that time?
Yes. Sorry. Would you speak louder? I have a little problem. Or let me calculate something in my computer, because I can't hear you clearly.
Can you hear me okay now, Ashraf?
Now it's much better. Do you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yep. So I'm just saying, you're obviously what we call a late developer. So playing your best squash in your mid to late 30s gives hope for some of us, and some of us it's too late for that. But obviously, and then coming back to Egypt in the late 90s and started coaching there was really when Egypt started making a name for itself in the squash scene, didn't it? From the mid 90s onwards, and ever since, really. So, what have been some of the secrets that you could share with us?
Well, I believe till the 90s, we got we have been in the 90s. Maybe I still remember when I was in Germany, the best results for the Egyptian juniors was number 12 at the world. And the big win was 94. That was the time of Barada and Borolosi when they won the first and runner-up in the world. And it was in New Zealand, by the way. That was so for our luck. After that, in 98, I got an important call from the president of the association at that time, Sam Nasser, and he was asking me to come back and to try to build up a game. We were very good in juniors from 94 to 96, but then we didn't find any seniors. So in that time, we have no one, maybe except Barada, who was number 3 at the world. I think starting from 98, that was a very good start. I came from Germany. I had a very, very big team, by the way, for the national team. We have been almost 7 coaches, and we have been controlled all boys from under 11 to under 19. So we have really 5 national team coaches, teams we have a national team for under 11, 13, 15, 17s, and 19s. So in that time, players like Rami Ashur and Ali Farag and Noor Tayyib and Mohammed Shourbagi, they were very, very young in that time. That were even a bigger, an older player and much better than them. Whatever, we started in that, and we get a very big surprise in the World 98, I still remember, in America. We beat Pakistan, which it was very big surprise. And we lost to England in the final, I think 2-1 in the final game, 3-2, 10-8. It was very close. So since that, I believe that a lot of coaches came from approach. A lot of coaches came with their knowledge, and they tried to put their experience on the Egyptian squash and in the Egyptian juniors. In that time also, I have to say that parents had a lot to do. Parents were really very interested in the game. They invested time and effort and money, and they got their players and their sons, their kids to the training. And then the roll starts to roll. So 98, Abbas, 2000 was Karim Darwish. 2002, I think 2004 was Rami Ashur. It came the big event. Rami Ashur, he was winning with me in his first world champion when he was just 16, not yet 17. And then I turned with him to the professional, to PSA. He got invitation card, a wild card in his first tournament. I think it was 25K in Greece, and he won it. Beat Alistair Walker maybe in the final. And then came Mohammed Shourbagi, Marwan Shourbagi. And then I think it starts end or middle of 2005, 2006, something like this. We start to find some good players and some juniors players to start in the seniors. I believe it starts with Shabana. Shabana was unbelievable talented player. I worked with him, but not in his junior. I worked with him when he was a senior. And then he goes through and he went very well. And then after that was Rami Ashur and Karim Darwish. And you know, when you get some players, a good one, so a lot they want to follow him. A lot of players wanted to do that. I still remember the time of New Zealand with Ross Norman and Stewart Davenport. I don't remember whom was coming after, but that was the time of the Egyptian coach Dardiri. And I believe you need someone, you need a sample, you need a great player, and then let all the juniors go behind them. For sure, I have to say, maybe sorry to talk too much, but the ideas came. For sure, very important points happen. So the knowledge of the coaches, the input of the parents, and generations. This is very, very important point for us, for the Egyptian. Squash is concentrated in 2-3 towns. So we have Cairo, 200 meters in the north is Alexandria, and maybe in the middle a small town called Tanta, but all of the players, they are playing in the same area. So we don't have any problems to get matches and to get training together. The Egyptian Federation invests a lot in the national team. We have all of the time coaches for the national teams. We have a very important point. I believe this is one of the most important points which affect the squash in Egypt is our league. So we have really a very, very strong system for the league. And this system starts from under 11, 13, 15, 17, 19s. We have 10 age groups for 11-2 boys and girls, 13 boys and girls, 15 boys and girls. And they collect all points for all age groups, and you get a winner, a big club, which he wins all the trophies, which wins more or the most age groups. So I believe the league for under 11, under 13, every team has a 3 players, and maybe you get 1 reserve. It's like the World Championship, but those competitions are really very, very important. Plus, have some tournaments. We got maybe 10 to 12 tournaments per year. We just organized Cairo Open maybe 10 days ago, and we have 1,570 players. You could imagine that. And we have under 11 for boys, a draw of 265, and for girls 56, and for girls the same, 256. So squash starts to be very big. When a big names came, like even by girls, Ranim El-Wulaili, Noor Shirbini, Nuran Gohar, Noor Tayyib, and before Omneh Abdelawi and Enji Khairallah, all of those girls. It's really a very good example for the new girls. And you have now a booming in squash. We are live in TV. A lot of time when we have a big tournament here in Egypt, we are live maybe 4 or 5 hours in the main TV programs. Even between matches, we have a podium which we come together and we analyze and we talk about the players and what's the good tricks there and what's the good tactic there and what's the plan there. So it starts to be really very big and everyone is interesting. Then came at the very important point is sponsors. When squash becomes big, when you are on TV, when you have a very good results, then you collect sponsors, and sponsors are easier to get. So we have a CIB bank, which really is sponsoring a lot of tournaments, a lot of players. We try to get a lot of sponsors, new sponsors. So the story is going and the circle is going really very well.
We would squash rank as far as sports go. Is it one of the most popular sports in Egypt, behind football, or has it overtaken football?
Yes, I think after football we have handball, because we are very good in handball. Maybe we were organizing the World Cup January this year, and then squash. Squash is the most sports which our players do a lot of good results. So you see the big events, maybe semi-final, you find 2 or even more in the big events. So squash is very popular, and the squash players become more and more stars, and this helps all the juniors to like squash and to try to play squash. And we get all of the time new blood, and we have all of the time new grassroots.
Great. So 1,500 players, are they all juniors at those events, all under 19s down?
Yes. From under 11, 13, 15, 17, 19s, men and women. But the biggest draw, which is very good, so it looks like it's good because the biggest draw is under 11. And this is a very good sign when you have a very good raw material down. So I believe you will find good players in the top.
Great. Yeah, it's incredible, that number of players, and like you say, obviously helps come out the other end. So the program that you run at Black Ball, is it all very similar to the different clubs, or does everybody sort of run theirs slightly differently?
I believe every club has a different system, but we have 2 big examples. I believe Wadi Degla has something like 3,000 players. Wadi Degla has maybe 7 or 8 branches. So every club runs the programs according to his facilities, according to the number of courts, according to the money which he has to spend. But in Black Ball, I could tell you we have very good 3 systems. We have how you call it, Baram. It's like a mini squash. We have a system for players. They started with 5 years old, maybe to 6 or 7, sometimes 8 years old. And we have something like 40 players in that age. And then you come to the academy. And the academy is, maybe when we're visiting, we have only 2 systems, academy and team. And now we added something before academy. This is a mini squash, we say it, just to prepare the very young player to like the game. They are not really training for squash, but they are running behind the ball, hitting, catching the ball, running in some circles. They have some fun, but at the same time, we give them the touch and the feeling of the ball and of the racket. After that, if you are good in the mini squash, so you come to the academy, and the academy have 5 stages. You start from stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every 3 months we have a test. Maybe you have seen that, Jason, the result of the tests. And in that test, we check out how if every player improved, what was his mistakes, what the best to improve his technique. So in academy, we work very, very hard in technique. We try to go in our school. It's a technique school. It's an attacking school. We don't like the boring squash and the defensive squash. We like really attack game. We like really to go a lot of time to the front of the court. And that makes a big difference if we talk technically about squash. So every 3 months, we have something like evaluation, and we see all the players, and then we write a report and we hang it. And so every player has to see what was wrong, what is good, and the result of the end, either he is going to the next stage, so from stage 2 to 3, or maybe he is still stay in the same group. So after you have finished the 5 stages in academy, you are ready to be a member in the team for under 11. So you could imagine that a player starts with 5, 6 years old and goes through his learning in technique, holding, positioning, clean hitting, all of those things, and go from stage to the other. And after 5 stages, then he is ready to join our team under 11. And then he goes through from under 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, even sometimes with the good players in the team. Then we don't split them under the age, then we split them according to their strengths and according to their level. So we have in group A, some players have only 13 years old. We do all training, boys and girls together. We don't have a boys training and girls training. So we put them all together in one group according to their level. Still in this level, we have some tests in between. If someone is good, we put him in a level higher. We have some time shifting. So everyone in a group, we have 4 groups, D, C, B, A. So every month, everyone in the group C has the right to do 2 trainings with group C, and 2 from C group go to group B, and 2 from B go to group A. So everyone has maybe 12 times to train in his group per month, and 2 times with a bigger or a better level group. This is shortly how it goes.
So, Monomus, how many sessions per week would they have in each group?
Okay. Well, we have three different types. We have individual training, team training, and fitness. So we have under 11 and under 13, we go for 3 sessions per week individually, and 3 sessions team training. Team training time is 90 minutes to 120 minutes, 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Individual training is all of the time 45 minutes. And for older player, 15, 17, 19, we go for 4 times individual training and 3 times team training. And all of them, they have a system for a fitness. And this fitness starts from 3 sessions per week until 5 sessions per week, according to the body type. If he's young, small, big, what he needs. So everyone has his own program. And yes, we collect all of them to do the training together, but everyone has his own program according to his level. And that maybe we got Derek Ryan, PSA physio. He was in Egypt, and I think he stayed in Black Hole maybe 10 days, and he watched every player of those. Maybe the team was 120 players. And he gave us a program for the 120 players, and we go through with our coaches. We have maybe four coaches for fitness, and he goes through, and we started even for the academy, some small things for coordination. This is very important until they go up, and we rise the program according, as we said, to the player level.
Okay, so sounds really interesting, because individualizing the program is obviously really important, because if they're physically all doing the same thing, it may not suit them, which I believe is really important as well. You talked about earlier about creative and attacking squash, and you believe in that creativity. So what sort of things do you do to develop that creativity and that attacking mindset in the players?
Okay. Well, Jason, this is a very, how you say, this is a very deep point, and this is a very important point. All the players all over the world, you could hit the ball to the front wall, and you could hit all good shots in the right way. Everyone will play good length and good cross and good post and good neck. But how to do the combination and where you play what, this is a very important point. We have a lot of work on footwork, and we split the court to two, how you say, two parts, back court and front court. All the statistics says players maybe play 70 to 80% of the game. Sometimes 85% of the game will be played in the back corners. And when we thought about it, we saw then, good, the best length and then the best cross will cost the players maybe only 6 meters, because the distance between back wall, the glass back wall, to the tee is only 4 meters, I think 56 or 24, if I still remember, something like this. But from the tee to the front, this is 5 meters something. If you calculate, if you stay just, we have to stay behind the tee maybe one step to cover the court. So you would see that moving to the back court is much shorter than moving to the front court. And then we try to let the player use 4 corners more accordingly, more than to use only 2 corners. Well, you have to be very accurate to play your shots really good to the back corners, because if you play good shots to the back corners, then you will move better. How to creative attack game? Well, you have to be a very good in technique, very good. You have to control the ball really, and we are going to 2 to 3 centimeters. We are not going to in areas. We play really to very small targets to let the player control the ball really and play the ball exactly in the point he wanted to. And if you do that, then it's easy. So we play deep shots as very normal, as all tactics all over the world. You play deep corners until the ball is easy in the middle. Problem is, most of the players, they still play back again and again and again. And we try to let the players use a front corner with drop shots, with post. Those 2 shots are taking a lot of effort, exactly like length and cross. So most of the players, for sure, it's according to the type of the player. Some of them, they don't like very much to attack, but attacking game is very attractive, and it makes a very big difference. I gave you an example, 2 examples maybe, because they are very legend and all of them, we know them. Amr Shabana, when I was working with him, my work with him was to prevent him playing attacking shots, because he didn't like to play any rallies. He would like to play serve and return, and that's it. And sometimes he says, well, if the rally is 4 shots, it's too much for me. I don't have patience. I want to go home. I want to play as short as possible. And so working with Amr Shabana was something to prevent his attacking shots. Rami Ashur, when he was junior, his name was Hercules, and he was a very defensive player. And you just imagine how he changed a defensive player to attacking player. So, well, again, just to do it short, we talk a lot to the brain. It's very, very, very important. The players know how to do a game, not only in the court when he was under pressure. No, he has to understand exactly the corners. He has to know the measurement of the court. He has to know where he has to play the ball exactly, to drop where is the second bounce, what he will do after the ball in the middle. Then play unexpected shots. This is very important for us, because in Egypt, we don't stop in the red ample. We drive in the red ample, and we stop when the ample is green. So expect anything not normal by the Egyptian when they play squash, especially in attacking way.
So it sounds like you spend a lot of time letting the players try things out, look to put the ball into the front of the court, and sort of you almost expect them to try that sort of thing, and developing their creativity and their attacking squash.
Yeah, I tell you two examples also, because examples are very good and makes the things very easy. Marwan Shourbaghi was coming to me to coach him before his second junior tournament. He was a world champion under 19, and he has to play his second tournament. And then he came to me, I think 15 days before the tournament. He told me, Coach, I would like very much that you control me and to let me train with you those 2 weeks and to find out what's wrong and to collect and to correct them. I played with him once, and I told him, well, listen, if I play with you now, I had to change a lot of things. We have no time. We have 15 days. And I believe those 15 days, we will take 3 sessions per week. And those sessions will be in my office, not in the court. And we were really talking a lot every time, talking about how he will deal with the things. Because sometimes if you want to change things, it takes a little time, Jason. And short time is not good. Mohammad Shourbaghi, once, he was living in England, and he was in a short time in a big tournament in Alexandria, I still remember. And he told me, Coach, if you want to have a hit with me. And I said, yes, what time? And then we had two times before he's flying. And I played with him once. And then when I went to the hotel, I was writing down a page of what I have to tell him and what I have to discuss with him. And next day I told him, well, listen, we have 1 hour in court. Do you prefer to have them in court or to have them outside to discuss all of your weakness and strengths? And he preferred for sure to sit together, and we were talking about points, and he said, well, exactly, this is what I wanted to. I was not sure about it, but now I know exactly what it is. So I believe, Jason, head to head, brain to brain is a very, very important point to professional and even to juniors. All of the juniors will grow up their brain and will understand better in the game when you talk to them. All of them will react in a very good way or in a better way if their brain is clear and they know the things not only in court and how to hit the ball, but exactly if you talk to their brain. Sometimes it is difficult for some players. So Ramy Ashour, if you talk to him, he understands nothing at all. He's a crazy boy. You talk to him and you try to tell him what's the logic. This looks like this, and if you do like this, it will be like this. So all the national team, when he was juniors in the national team, we have all of the time something like squeeze killer. We ask some questions and they have to raise their hands and answers. So believe me, when Ramy was answering, all of us were laughing because he was answering something totally different than we are talking. And sometimes I'll ask him, are you sure you are playing squash? Do you know the name of the game you play, Ramy? And yes, squash for sure. He was very young in that time. But a type of Ramy, he's, in my opinion, he's a genius. He cannot tell him the routine in a logic way. So between games, he cover his head with a towel, and you have to come closer to his ear and tell him 1 or 2 sentences. This is the key, nothing else. It's different, but in general, to talk to the brains are very, very important, and to let the players discuss with you, and you have a paper, and to tell them what they feel. This is a very important thing. Very clear in that, Jason, when we are in the court, and I asked my juniors, well, how to do that? Why you are doing that? There's a lot of questions. We stopped the games in the team training. Team training, it's a lot of practicing and a lot of game situations, but maybe not the game. And at end, we say this is a game. So if I ask them why you do that, how to do that, what's the reason, then they start to show me automatically. Well, and then they hold the racket up and they try to explain. Well, the rules is their hands are behind their backs and they have to talk. It's a very big problem for the juniors, believe me. If you ask him questions in court and he is answering you and his hands are hang together, it's a very big problem. Try it. They will start to struggle. But with time, then they start to think. And this is a very important point. This is a very important point. They have to think. It's not easy to hit the ball to the wall. It's very easy, but to think, this is the most important thing. And if a very good coach, in my eye, is not letting the player go out of the individual training and he is tired and he cannot breathe, no, the best thing, if the player go out and he said, I have a headache, I have a brain problem, I need to relax my brain. This is a point. Then I know that this coach is good. He is talking to the head of the players and not talking to the legs or to hands of the players.
Great. It sort of sounds like you're challenging them to absorb the learning that they're doing, not just the physical part, which is wonderful.
Exactly.
Yep. I've got a couple of questions here. I'll go on from Manu. How long are the fitness sessions? Each individual fitness sessions, how long do they go for normally?
It's not a daily. It's. I said it's depending very strong to the body, because we have some fitness for the players which they are 10 and 11 years old, and those fitness are going to according to the weight of their body. They never hold something heavy, so it depending 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 60 minutes. It depends on every type of players. Some of them they need to use the gym. Some of them they just need to do some sit-ups. Some of them they need coordination. Some of them they need to use some tools. It's very different, Jason. Very different.
Yep. It depends. Answered every coaching question. Depends on the player. Another question here we've got: what percentage of junior sessions are front court practice? I.e., is it 50-50 or different than that?
Yeah. Coaching is I see it's very deep place which he goes through, and you have to really to analyze your player very, very carefully, because when you analyze the player, then you go to the right track. I could work with someone 50-50. I could work with someone 90-10. So I believe best individual training would be if you work not for the strengths, but for the weakness. I never go to the court and play post drive, for example, because yes, this is everyone could do it with everyone. So the coach is not going to do the same routine which the players could do it with others. Maybe we start with some reactions. So if the ball is cold, we go in the front of the tee, right, left, and then we go for volley. So this is very important to warm the ball and for reaction as well, because when the ball goes from a slow speed to a faster speed quickly, when you warm up the ball is good. So when we let the player doesn't know if we play forehand or backhand, then we go closer and closer to the front wall and still play the ball very hard, sometimes to the body of the players, so he has to react. But then to come to your question, I would say if the player is by his nature is attacker player, then I will go for the backcourt. Like the example which I said for Shabana. So Shabana, when we played, he was never allowed to play neck before 10 shots because it's impossible. It's serve and the neck. But if the player is already attacker player, a defender player, maybe he go too much to the front. I tell you a very good example. It happened exactly yesterday with a girl which she lost in Cairo Open. She had a match ball and the player was just behind, close to the back wall. And if she plays any post at any drop shot, she will win the match. But then she played again to the back and then she lost. And then she had a homework. She has to write a lot of things. If my player is behind me, I have to play post. If the player closer to the back wall, I have to play post. She writes them 10 times. And yesterday I told her, well, she has to play to write. If the player is behind the referee, I have to play post. So this is a kind of a punishment to tell, because never the player will be behind the referee, but I will try to tell her, listen, you are too stupid to play just in the back court. If the player is behind you, you have to play in the front. So yesterday I have a page, she is writing, if the player is behind the referee, I have to play post. Something like this. Whatever at end, it's very individual. You have to see how is the player playing, and you have to go for the other side. You have types. You have attacker player. You have a defender player. The best player ever, in my opinion, is if you have never you will go 50-50. Every player has a very good in thing and not very good in the other thing. I could go for Paul Cole, for example, because he's a New Zealand player. He was perfect in defense, and he has nothing to do in the front of court. And that's why it was so easy to beat him. And recently, things changed. Why? Because he changed and he goes to the front court much, much more than before. So compliment to his coach. I don't know his name, but I think he did a great job. And to coach against Paul Cole before, so easy, because we have a plan called the back wall plan. And back wall plan is the player who's defending, just give him the ball, lose in the front and let him sink. He's losing. He cannot play. And but when he starts to use the front wall, then that's better. And maybe all of us recognize how he is improved in the last time. Sure, plus more experience and more confidence. But I believe changing the way of the game and using front and back corner and be equal, or maybe get more attacking shots to your game or more defending shots to your game. For example, for Shabana, more defending, for Paul, more attacking. That makes you a better player and complete player.
Cool. Yeah, once again, trying to get a more rounded player. So depending, a little bit like the fitness, depending on the player, depends on the advice you'd give there. Cool.
Yeah, and very important, Jason, is not to play what the player likes, because the training will go in two things. If I'm attacker player, I would like very much to play neck and play drop shot. If I'm defending player, I would like very much to play cross and lens. So we try to change it all of the time. Put them under pressure and play the thing that they don't like, but at end gives them what they like, because squash practicing is very boring, by the way, and all of us, we know that. All of them, they want to play the game, but to practice with them, especially in the weak points that they don't like, it's very bad. So a clever coach has to do a combination between going to the bad things, the things that players doesn't like, and then when they feel he's down now, then you give him something he likes it. And it's with experience you get it until end. So the player is getting headache, his brain is get a problem, and then he has to think. You have to talk with him some things. He has to tell you some information which you are talking to, and this is how he improves, not only physically but mentally.
All right, thank you. Some more questions here. Dave Clark's got a question here. What do you see as the most significant challenge facing coaches working with juniors today? What's the biggest challenge working with juniors?
Depends on the land. Some lands, the big challenge is to find the juniors themselves. And for some lands, yes. For us, it is. I believe we are very lucky, because our challenge is just to control the juniors. If you have 300 players in your club, 200 of them, they like to be a world champion. So really, the challenge is how to manage their dreams and not to disappoint them that all of you, we never could produce 200 world champion, but we try to improve all of the time your level. And this is a very important point. Maybe you just remind me in how to let the players get less pressure, because all of the players, they play a tournament and then they go out and they are very disappointed. And this is what we try, or I try myself. I tell you my school. It might be there is different schools. Sometimes a winner has to be punished, and the loser gets a gift. And what's the key in that? The winner played very bad. He wins because his opponent wasn't so good, or he wins, but he could win much easier. Then you are not good enough. And the loser get a gift because he lost maybe to a player he's much better than him. He went with him, was court before, and he lost 3-love in 20 minutes, but now it's 3-1 in 40 minutes. This is a very, very good positive thing. So we have to go for this and tell them this is very good. Mentally, it's better, you are closer, and you could be better. Most challenge is if the coach says, most challenge is to let him win something, he will fail. But I believe the most challenge for any clever or smart coach is to improve his skills and get the weak points to be his strengths. This is, I think, for myself, this is the best and the most challenge point. Someone is, how to say, weak in winning shots, and then he is doing a lot of winner shots. So to go with him and to play a full sessions, not only 1, 2, 3, 4 drop shots from every corner in the court, at end he could play it, but then to let him play it in the match, this is something different. So challenges would be all of the time to improve the skills and to change the weakness to strengths. I believe that would be good. If you put them together and goes through, you will get a good player in the future.
So if you can get the players to develop their weaknesses so they become stronger in that area, and once again becomes the more round. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Perfect.
And how does your role fit into the wider Egyptian system? Now the national coach, and but how does the Egyptian system work, and how do you fit into that as a national program or national body?
Well, I believe all of organizations will never do that success. I believe we are really very, very lucky. We have so many raw materials. We have so many schools. We have so many academies that every time we got something new. And to work in that, challenges are very strong between kids. We got now some tournaments under 9. So it is national team, because we have national team for all age categories. But before that, clubs are working hard for their teams because of the league, and they would like very much to win the league. As I explained before, we have 10 leagues for juniors, 5 for boys and 5 for girls. And before that, the academies, which before the team, they are working very hard to feed the teams in their clubs with good players. I think all of this system, and before that, now we create the mini squash that because some countries, they started early. I tell you example, British Open just added under 11 2 or 3 years ago. Before that, if you still remember, British Open starts from under 13. While we have our own program and our own system and tournament under 11. And when they go and let British Open, they played under 11, so we thought maybe we take a step further, and then we talk about under 9. And just in case, I started my mini squash started from 5, so to be in the top for a while.
Cool. Question here about the coaches. Over here in New Zealand, we have a lot of volunteer coaches. They do it for the love of the game. So are most of the coaches in your program, are they professional paid coaches? And how many players does each coach work with generally?
Okay. All coaches, we don't have volunteers. I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, but we don't have any volunteers. All coaches, they are working, and we have most of them, they are full-time coaches. Sometimes they work in 2 clubs or 3 clubs. We say 5 hours per day This is very good for the coach. More than that would be sometimes difficult. But some, they are strong and they could do 5 hours in one club, and then they go to coach another 3 or 4 hours in another club in a long day, maybe the weekend or whatever. But not most. All coaches are not volunteers. They are paid, but we have categories here. So academies, they are not so qualified. We get a lot of coaches, they are they coming from sports universities. We learn them. We give them some, how you say, clinics or some courses. I do it myself. I think I teach maybe 300 coaches in some sessions to let them do the best work for the teams, because I believe the academies are the key for a good player. If a junior starts well, he has a clean swing, he could calculate where is the ball, he has a good eye, he has good coordination. This is a very good player to improve him. If we got a player with some big mistakes, with some technique problems, with wrong holding the racket, this is a very big problem for the next stage.
You've got a question here just probably on that. Who coaches your full-time coaches the ability to teach the technique? Is that you generally, or somebody else in your team?
No, in our club we have let's say, I said almost 30 coaches. 4 of them are only fitness, so we have 26 coaches. Maybe split them to 2, or maybe 14 are for the team and 12 are for the academy. Well, for the academy technique, I do a lot for them, and I teach the coaches. It's very, very important to teach them how to hold the racket, how to swing, what's the distance between you and the ball. A lot of questions, a lot of technique things. For the team, well, they are experienced enough, but I am there all of the time in the team training. Team training is a group of maybe 20, 25 players. We split them to 10 courts. So, and we have almost, as I said, 90 minutes to 120 minutes. So I am there with them. We are 4 or 5 coaches around the courts, and we calculate everything. And in team, we don't work a lot in technique. Yes, for sure in technique, but it's very important in tactic, because then we go to the very, very important point in the game, how you manage your game. Still, if you could play all the skills, if you are good in all of them, but if you don't have the right plan, then you will not be a succeeded player. So team training is very important for tactic and for some changes, for some plans. Those players, which I told here to write down, if my player in the back, I will play side wall and not straight. So if she's playing now again in the back, then we stop the game in that point and we review. So it's very, very, maybe it's very good point for the tactic, Jens. So if the players are playing a game and you have two sessions, 2 things to do it. There's a players are watching outside. You could ask them after the rally why he played these shots, why this player played this shot, and then you get so many answers. And when you open the door and ask the player himself why you played this shot, and then they discuss, and then they ask the opponent, are you expecting that he plays this shot? And then it's very open discussion. And this is open the mind very, very strongly, because then we think about what's the player we're thinking, what's the player in the back we're thinking, what was the best. And so then we try to do slow motion again, and it's like a video review, but we come back with the steps reverse, and we stop before the player decided to play his shot, and then we give him the ball, and he has all time. He's watching in the back, watching where is his player, and then he has to decide again and to start the point from the beginning. Now, what will be your decision? Let's say if a player behind me, and then he played ball to the back again, according to this girl again, then she has the ball in the hand, and then she watches the ball, the opponent in the back, and then she has to think again. Might she plays cross? And then we said, okay, this is not bad, but maybe if she moves to the other side, she will get it. Give me another option. So she might play drop shot. Then we said, okay, but this way will be maybe short. Do you have a third option? Then might she plays post? So all of those things together gives the players the opportunity to think in quiet and to have many options. And at the same time, you have someone in the back to discuss it. All of those discussions, I believe, this is the most important for a team training session.
I like the fact you asked your opponent, what they thought. I think that would be we don't often do that, but I think it's, I quite like, what would your opponent think about if you played a different shot, or what were they expecting? Because sometimes junior players in particular, and I know boys that I've worked with in the past, probably don't think much at all. So
Yes. Well, there is a tactic rules very important by us. This tactic rule says play once, think twice, which means, yes, you have your shot, so you have to think before you shot. This is very normal because otherwise you will not know where you play. But then you have to think twice, because you have to think when your opponent is playing, where he will play his shot. That's why you have to be all of the time focusing, not only thinking about your shot, because now you are a half player. If you want to be a full player, you need to know how is your opponent thinking as well.
Great. So I'm just conscious of time, Ashraf, and once again, it's only a couple of minutes to go. So it might be time for one more question before we say thank you very much. But there's been lots of really good stuff there, and I'm sure the coaches have got plenty from it. Probably a key thing was actually, good coaches really try and get the players to work on their weaknesses, make them strengths, and make them a more rounded player. So it's really a key thing that I've got out of it. I think we've got one more question coming through. So, how's Black Ball going in the league this year, or last season?
Well, last season we don't have league because of Corona, but in 2 years' time was surprising, because we have one big league for men and boys, and one big league for girls. And for boys, we have been runner-up after Wadi Degla, beating clubs we're playing since maybe 40 years. That was a big shock for everyone, that Black Ball by boys is the runner-up after Wadi Degla. This is, for us, was really surprising, because we beat a very, very strong teams. By girls, we weren't so good in that time because we didn't prepare ourselves for the girls. Just 4 years ago exactly, Black Ball had 4 coaches and 3 players, by the way. So 4 years ago, we were 4 coaches and 3 players. And now we are 30 coaches and almost 300 players. So in 2 years, I think it was crazy good to be runner-up. Well, I don't know if we could do it again. This year, the league will be played, but we are much stronger by the girls. We have under 11, 13, 15, and 17, which we had only one team, maybe under 15 at that time. Boys, unfortunately, we got 4 very, very strong players. Unfortunately, all of them, they went to American and British universities. So they were the best in their age. Maybe the 4 will have been in the best 8, maybe in Egypt. And for sure, if those 4 will be there, I will win under 19 for sure. But still, we will be struggling maybe in the best 3, 4. By the way, Black Ball win because for men and women, this is a different league. We have a team of 5 players, 3 boys and 2 girls, and this is for over age, for professional. And we have been in the second session, second league, and we have been won it, and we just succeeded to be in the first league, but we didn't play yet. We had whom is playing for us. Camille Serm is playing for us. Salma Hani was playing for us. Suraf was playing for us, and some Egyptian players. We succeeded to be in the first league, but till now we didn't try. Hope we keep them, because first league has only 6 clubs and second league has 6 clubs. So I hope that we could keep this year in the first 5, because if we go to 6, we go down again to the second league. But I hope to stay in the first league this year as well.
Awesome. Great, Ashraf. I'm just looking at the time. Once again, thank you very much for your time. If anybody does get the chance to get to Cairo, I'll thoroughly recommend visiting the Black Ball Club. It's an amazing facility, and it's a real eye-opening to what's out there in the world. And really appreciate your time today, Ashraf. And one last question.
Yes,
does your daughter still like rugby?
No, I tell you something. My girl, yes, but she got a little older, and now she's working as a model. But she was. I still remember your gift is very, very nice. She liked it very much. She was playing in the university a little bit, but now she stopped. She's working as a model.
Oh, that's okay. Yep. Just
thank you.
Know
Wait, Jason. I would say to everyone, hope you liked. Maybe I was talking too much, not organized as I have to be, but this is the thoughts and this is the answers which I try to give it from all the experience which we have them. And anytime you have been to Egypt, you'll be very, very welcome. And hope once we could come to New Zealand and meet you there. And I would like very much, if you record this one, maybe to send it to me, Jason. That would be very nice from you.
Absolutely, not a problem. No, I really appreciate it. I think everybody would have got a lot out of that tonight, and yeah, it was great to hear some of the things you had to share, and it was awesome. And hopefully we'll get to see you in person again shortly at the next conference or something like that. But hopefully we can get to travel again soon and meet again. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and greeting to everyone.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.